I think one of our major problems is that we are existing in the gray area, and the gray area is an illusion because the gray area tries to escape the truth. The gray area tries to escape reality. The gray area wants to remain ambiguous or anonymous. The gray area wants to exist right between right and wrong, good and evil, human being, mankind. How can we say we believe in God, but then turn around and say that racism has power over me? How can we say we believe in God and God made us, and then turn around and say that white people have control over us? To me, it actually sounds crazy, and it's part of the problem. How can we say that God decided to make us, put us on this planet, and white people are to have dominion over us forever? Do y'all accept that? Do you all accept that? Because I don't. I don't subscribe to the notion. You see, if I acknowledge that God made me, then I got to acknowledge that God is inside me. And if God is inside me, then how can racism be over me? How could racism defeat me? How could a white person subject me to their cruelty? How is that even possible? You know, we talk about mental slavery, but I don't think we contextualize what mental slavery actually is. If you think about it, many of us will say that we believe in God. And many of us will say that God loves us. And many of us will say that God created us. And many of us will say that God created this earth. If all those things are true, then how could something like racism have power over you or me? How could it? If I'm made by God, which you all would agree, if I have God inside of me, which you all would agree, then how could racism have power over me? How could racism have power over something that God created? Because what we're really saying is God has all this power except when it comes to racism, except when it comes to racist people. So what we do is we limit God by giving racism power. Now, I'm not saying that racism doesn't exist, but what I am saying is if it does exist, then the first thing I can do is to not give it power over me. I don't subscribe to racism. I don't subscribe to a system designed to oppress me because it can't oppress me. Because I have God inside of me. I'm God in the flesh. I have the God gene. So something as powerful as racism can't even hinder me because I'm more powerful than racism. You see, they never wanted us to speak like this. Everybody will tell you that words have power and words can cast spells and words can change your reality and words can change your mindset and life and death is in the power of the tongue. All these things about how powerful our words are, how powerful speaking is, how powerful speaking things into existence is, but we never have these same voices when it comes to racism and oppression. Why is that? Because mentally, we are still conditioned to think that racism is more powerful than God. The same God that created the universe and the cosmos, the same God that made us up from the very thing that God made the planets and the stars from. And they've tried to convince us that all of that is subject to racism and oppression. We've been on this earth, God knows how long. And they've tried to sum up our entire existence with the last 500 years. We've been on this earth possibly millions of years, and they sum up our entire existence with the last 500. You understand how deep the slavery and oppression has gone. It has literally made us think that racism and oppression is above God. So much to the point where it has taken over our entire existence. They don't placate to you because you're a man or a woman. They placate to you because you're black. They don't placate to you because you're a king or a queen. They placate to you because you're black. They don't placate to you because you are God in the flesh. They placate to you because you are black. Do you want to know why? Because if you're black, they can control you. They can control you if they can describe, identify, and define you with the color. They cannot control you if you access the power that God has given you. And that is simply recognizing that God is inside you. And God is inside you so much that nothing on this earth can have dominion over you. Nothing on this earth can rule over you. We talk about all this speaking things into existence, and nobody is speaking truth to power. People are speaking truth to systemic racism. People are speaking truth to systematic racism. People are speaking truth to those that are in power, or should I say those that we think are in power. But who's actually speaking truth to power? Speaking truth to power would be, God, I accept the challenge. God, I will fulfill my purpose. God, I know that nothing on this earth can stop me. Forget the earth. Nothing can stop me, period. We have been giving racism too much power. We have been giving racism entirely too much power. It doesn't have any power over you. It doesn't. And if you think it does, then speak against it. Speak those things into existence. Nothing can stop me, not even racism. We have to change our whole way of thinking. We have to deprogram our minds. We have to change our entire way of thinking. Nothing can stop me. They called us black, and it wasn't a compliment. They said we were black so they could subjugate us. They said we were black so we would forget who we really were. There's a huge difference between someone having black skin and someone being black. Those are two totally different things. We are in bondage to being black because outside of this physical body, we are spiritual. We are spiritual beings. We are spiritual beings outside of this body. How can we reduce God's greatness to a color? You can't. Nobody's ever described God as a color. Nobody's ever described the universe as a color. Nobody's ever described all these wonderful and great things with the color. So you got to ask yourself, why would they choose to call us a color? It's bondage. We are in bondage. If they're not using black to describe your skin color, then you must ask yourself, why are they calling me that? And furthermore, why have I answered to it? If we are God's people, then they should be calling us God's people. And if we were the first people on the planet, they should be calling us the first people on the planet. And if we are the original human beings, then they should be calling us the originals. You see, mankind wanted to deceive us and trick us and make us believe that we were something that we were not. They wanted to reduce us to something they could control. Racism will not have any power over you. Another person's opinion of you will not have any power over you. Nothing on this earth will have power over you. If you want to speak something into existence, then speak who you really are into existence. Speak your dominance into existence. I'm not fighting for equal rights because you don't want to give them to me. I already have divine right because God created me. You don't have to march or protest. All you have to do is wake up and simply say, none of this stuff out here will have any power over me, period. I am the master of my own destiny. I control how my legacy will be left. Not anyone else. I control it. I have control and power over my life. We've been listening to these people that have been inferior this entire time. How can we rise as a people if we still think they have power over us? It's going to be impossible. If we think they have control over us, if we think that racism has power over us, then that means that every effort we try to get free will never work. Because in the back of our minds, in our subconscious, we've already been defeated. Because we think no matter what we do, they're still going to be in control. And that is the true definition of mental slavery. Nothing they have created or designed is more powerful than you or I. Absolutely nothing. We are greater than all of it. We are greater than racism. We are greater than the systems of control. We are greater than artificial intelligence. We are greater than those secret societies. We are greater than those wicked families pulling the puppet strings around the world. We are greater than all of it. Nothing can get us off our path nor keep us from achieving our goals. What we have to do is expand our goals. We must start thinking about what we want outside of the guidelines of oppression. We must start operating as if racism doesn't exist, because acknowledging racism every day is literally going to have you bonded to trauma. We are chained to trauma. We are enslaved to trauma. They take that same pain and that same trauma and they trick us with it every time. What would they say to you if they couldn't talk to you about slavery and they couldn't talk to you about being black? What would they say to you? How would they speak to you if they had to acknowledge who you really were? They wouldn't even talk to you. They couldn't. They can only talk to you in this watered down version, and it's a version that they created. This is not who we really are. We are greatness in the flesh. We are the same thing that the universe is made from. Racism does not have any power over us. In fact, we are much greater than racism. We are greater than any devious plot, plan, or scheme or agenda they have in mind. We are greater than all of it. Before we came down here, God gave us the challenge and we accepted. Now it's time to act like it. Wait for it. Free Blacks, get money. Go.